I am so late to the party with this, I almost didn't do this video. Then I started thinking to myself, this book is too good not to cover it. My name is Dorian, this is SC on Comics. We are covering the 3rd annual Hellfire Gala. Strap in because I don't think there's going to be any more after this one. And we are starting our coverage of The Fall of X with number 1. Our story starts off 10 weeks ago. You have Scott and you have Emma. They're at the treehouse and they're discussing Miss Marvel. They brought her back, but they're still trying to figure out how they're going to let her parents know that she's back. But also too, when they brought her back, under further analysis, come to find out Miss Marvel is a mutant. So Professor Xavier is pretty much like, you have a home here in Krakoa now. And Hope's like, you are inhuman and you're a mutant. We didn't think that was possible, especially if you guys remember what happened when Black Bolt was fighting Thanos and he released a terrible mist around the world. It did all kinds of damage to the mutants. I mean, decimated them. It was really bad. What really happened was Disney was pissed because they couldn't get their hands on the X-Men, so they decided to try to up the Inhumans, which that wasn't going to happen. But hey, X-Men are minorities, and minorities always. So Scott and Emma enter the conversation, and Scott and Miss Marvel go back from their time on the Champions. You're like, how the hell did Scott be on the Champions? He was time displaced. It's really crazy, but hell, is that any crazier than his son Cable being an old man, which he even tells Miss Marvel. So the X-Men are always in some kind of timey-wimey craziness. So they're pretty much insistent that Miss Marvel come out to the public and let the public know that she's a mutant, and she doesn't want to do that. I mean, she just got back. She's still trying to process everything. Then they're like, you know what, we could talk about this later. Right now, we need to get ready for the party. And then Jumbo Carnation comes out, take Miss Marvel's measurements to get her outfit ready for the gala. So Jumbo got the measurements and pretty much let Miss Marvel know that he'll be back with a fabulous costume. And then Emma and Scott start showing Miss Marvel Krakoa, and Scott's pretty much letting her know, look, being a mutant isn't all bad. We can pretty much go from New York to the moon to Morocco by just passing through these gates. Whenever you're ready, take as much time as you need. And then it occurs to Miss Marvel, which occurred to me too. She's an Inhuman and she has Inhuman powers. What is her mutant power? That's what I really want to know. But now the Hellfire Gala has officially kicked off. You got Cyclops, whose outfit makes him look like a real Cyclops. You got Jean, you got Emma, you got a boy Forge here, who he looks like he's over in his little PSD episode from X-Men 24, because he's ready to reveal how he's going to end homelessness by, I guess, creating different tree houses around the world. But before we can get all of that, there is an alarm at the tree house. So Scott gets off his Hellfire Gala, gets in his normal costume, and is headed to go see exactly what's going on. Now, if you watch my free comic day video, we know what happened. We know that Cyclops get his cheeks clapped. But we also have Jean talking to Juggernaut, and Jean's like, you know what, you've been on the straight and narrow for a long time now, and when they pick a new team, they're going to need a powerhouse, and you will be a really good addition to the new team. On the next page, you got Kitty literally leaning on a Krakoa gate because she can't pass through it. She can phase through everything except for the Krakoan gates. It's the weirdest thing in the world. And Mystique and Destiny almost run her over as they pass through the gates. And Destiny is trying to tell Mystique something, and Mystique, for once, isn't trying to hear it. And she's like, look, it's enough. Not right now. It's kind of crazy because Mystique always listens to Destiny. And then it's funny because Iceman go, is there trouble in paradise? And Kitty, or Kate, is like, if they heard you say that, they'll figure out a way to kill you in seconds, which is true. So now we got Professor Xavier talking to Miss Marvel, and Professor Xavier does something he doesn't do too often anymore. He actually takes off Cerebro, the helmet, to speak to her. And he pretty much tells her, like, look, would we love for you to come out as a mutant? Yes. Would it be very beneficial to us? Yes, it would, especially with all the things that's in the media about us right now. It would be extremely beneficial to us. But we also want you to be comfortable here. We want you to take your time. And whenever you're ready to say that you're a mutant, that's when you come out, if ever. Main thing is we want you to feel comfortable here, welcome here, and like I said, whenever you're ready, you just let us know. But he puts back on his helmet and pretty much like, I gotta go socialize some more. Then we also have Rogue talking to Captain Marvel, and if you know their history, you know why that is so significant. So Rasputin 4 walks up to Miss Marvel and lets her know, like, look, he actually took off Cerebro to talk to you, which he never does, and actually looked at you with his baby blue eyes, which again, that doesn't always happen. Rarely does it happen. Then we find out that Rasputin 4 is like a fangirl of Ms. Marvel, which if you know Ms. Marvel's history, she's like a fangirl of like all superheroes. So for somebody to be a fangirl of her, it's pretty crazy. Just everything comes full circle, I guess. So now we have Win. Now, I don't really know much about him. I'm pretty sure he's a new character. If you watch the Free Comic Book Day book, I didn't really cover this part of it, but he's talking to Doctor Strange, and I guess he's going to be in Marvel's Gods, so that's why we see him here, plain and simple. And he's talking to magic because I guess he deals with magic. So on the next page, we have Kingpin with his wife, Typhoid Mary, and then we have the Avengers, and they get an alert call. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what are they alerted to? Again, if you read the Free Comic Book Day, you know exactly what happened. That's what they're going to right now. So Rogue still has her Avengers card from when they had the Avengers Unity Squad. That was a mixture of X-Men and Avengers that worked together. Well, they're bringing that back, and Rogue's like, should I go? I'm being alerted too. And was like, yeah, you better go, especially since we're starting this Unity Squad thing again. So now Jean's pretty much like, all right, it's time to pick a new X-Men team, and it's time for some fresh blood. And here's our lineup. We got Cannonball, we got Talon, we got Sync, we got Prodigy, we got Frenzy, we got Dazzler, Jubilee, and Juggernaut. Pretty good team. And on the next page, they get murked. I mean, Nimrod just comes crashing down. Cannonball's dead. I'm pretty sure Dazzler's dead. Frenzy doesn't have a head, so you need that to survive. She's gone. Prodigy is pretty much gone. I think Jubilee got murked too. The only ones that looked like they survived was Sync, Talon, and Juggernaut. Everybody else, murked. So Jean and Juggernaut get thrown out the building. I mean, literally thrown out the building. Jubilee isn't quite dead yet. Before she could say pretty much anything, I mean, Nimrod's worse than Drake. He went from 0 to stop on her face real quick. So Psylocke tells Magic to get the humans and the 5 up out of here, and she tries, and all of a sudden she can't use her powers. The reason being is because Orchis injected her with nanites that pretty much shut down her X gene. So now Bobby comes and he starts getting into Nimrod's ass. I mean, Iceman's Omega level mutant, so you know this is not surprising. I mean, he's getting all up in Nimrod, but Nimrod has a secret weapon. He all of a sudden has something in his hand, and he injects Bobby with it. And at first Bobby's like, I don't even know what that was, but it doesn't even hurt right now, or it doesn't, I can barely feel it. And then all of a sudden his body starts like to illuminate, and he starts melting from the inside. And for all you old heads who can't stand Krakoa, this scene was for you. He pretty much goes, I can't see. And he goes, Jean, Scott, Warren, where are you? I'm sorry. Now the reason why he said their names is because him, Jean, Scott, Warren, and Hank Beast are the original X-Men, the original 5 X-Men. So right before Bobby's about to die, he calls out to his original team. So the Nimrod goes, Omega 2 is dead. Now where's Omega 1 at? He's talking about Jean. And she's like, oh, I'm right here. And she pretty much used her telekinesis and throws a Juggernaut at Nimrod. So of course this knocks the hell out of Nimrod, and then Juggernaut goes, I'm gonna enjoy taking you to the woodshed. So I don't think Juggernaut fully understands who he's talking to, but I guess he's about to find out. But we'll get to that in a minute. On the next page, we have the Orchis Iron Man Sentinels, and there's a bunch of them, and they're raining down on the gala. And Sync syncs with Polaris's power, and he puts up a force field. And he's like, dude, I got a force field up, but they're hitting me hard. And he goes to Jean, and you get in touch with Storm, reading X-Men Red. She has her own problems she's dealing with. And then we see Dr. Stasis and Omega Sentinel pass through the gate, which should be impossible, but this is the fall of X, so don't nothing make sense. I mean, pretty much everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Sentinels and I guess the closest thing you can say to a regular human pass through the gates. Cats and dogs living together. It's chaos. So they're pretty much messing with Charles Xavier, and Dr. Stasis is definitely feeling himself because he pretty much goes up to Professor X and is like, I want you to look into my mind and see exactly what I accomplished. So then Charles sees exactly how Dr. Stasis has been pretty much messing with the Krakoan medicines and putting in things that are pretty much going to make humans go crazy. And just to prove it, MODOK comes through the gate. Man, it's like the bouncer just left and now anybody can get in this club. So then MODOK pushes a button and every human that's there that took the medication just starts going crazy and they start attacking and killing each other. And on top of that, we got the rest of Orchid's forces pretty much comes through the gate because everybody's allowed now. So then Kate goes to Strong Guy and it's pretty much like, we need to do a fastball special. So he obliges, and finally we have one mutant take down one of these Tony Stark Sentinels, because last time it took the whole team and then some to take down one Sentinel. Kitty phases right through this one and it crashes and it's done. So now the Kingpin is calling for Typhoid Mary, which is his wife, and then Omega Sentinel just comes and knocks the hell out of Kingpin, and the Kingpin's like, you're gonna pay for that, which I believe him wholeheartedly. Look, Joe Fixit might have gotten his ass, but he ain't gonna just let everybody get in his ass now. So Exodus starts taking out a bunch of Orchis' shit because he's Exodus and he's a beast. And then Proteus starts taking out one of the Sentinels. Now, I'm sorry, Proteus is a Omega level mutant and he's a reality warper. Like, besides maybe Nimrod, he should be handling everybody here, I mean, with ease. So let me know in the comments if you feel the same way. Are they like dumbing down Proteus, or, you know, are they forgetting how strong this dude is? Please let me know in the comments, because I remember how strong Proteus is. So the Rasputin 4 and Miss Marvel team up and they take out one of these Sentinels too. So it's not looking all bad for the X-Men. I mean, it's starting to look like they're starting to turn this thing around. And then you turn the page and it's all for naught, because Nimrod is being Nimrod and he takes out the Juggernaut in spectacular fashion. He hits him with a beam so big and so hard that it takes out the tower, and then Jean has to save everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean everybody, Orchis people included. So pretty much Jean has everybody in the air, and then she just pretty much lets Orchis know that you know, it was fun, but it's over. It's pretty much a done deal now. I mean, I have you in the air. What are you guys going to do? And then Dr. Stasis is like, it is now or never, friend. And then Myra X comes through the gate, because why not? And then she has in her hand a special knife straight from Otherworld, and she stabs Jean right through the chest. So if you didn't watch my free comic book day video, go ahead and do so. I'm about to spoil it right now. And somehow, some way, Cyclops survived a big fall from the treehouse, and he's trying to say his goodbyes to Jean. So he feel like he's about to die. Jean is barely hanging on for her life, and this unites the rest of the mutants that are there, and they just start charging Orchis, and it looks like they're about to kick butt and take names like they normally do. But then we have Myra X. She grabs Professor Xavier, pretty much holds a knife to his neck, and pretty much tells them to stop, or tells Professor Xavier to have him stop, and that's exactly what he does. So Dr. Stasis pretty much tells Professor Xavier that as long as the mutants all leave, all the gates are pointed off world, they all leave, then they will not kill any more humans. And Professor Xavier is like, even I don't have the power to make every mutant leave through the gates. And Myra X was like, you just stopped every mutant that's here. You need to try hard and get him out of here. So now Dr. Stasis is really feeling himself now, and he's like, all right, let's talk conditions. Once you guys leave, if we see a mutant, then we're going to kill a human. The second time, we're going to kill 10 humans. The third time, we're going to kill 100 humans. You're smart, man. I pretty much don't have to explain to you what the power of 10 is. So as this poor man Sinister is monologuing, man, I never thought I'd actually take the side of Sinister. All of a sudden, all you hear is somebody go, Firestar, wake up. And it's Jean. You know, the one who got stabbed through the heart, Jean? Now, I read something and it said that the brain is still alive for 6 minutes once the body dies. What Jean accomplishes in 6 minutes, most people can accomplish in a month. Let's break this down. So Jean pretty much goes to Firestar and is like, look, as hard as we've been working to save the world, Orcus has been working just as hard to destroy our world. Now, I already went into this simpleton's mind and I already got it worked out to where he thinks he recruited you a long time ago and you've been working for Orcus all this time. Like I said, Dr. Stasis, poor man Sinister. She was like, I can't make you do this. You have to accept the mission. Firestar pretty much goes, I accept. And she goes, now I'm going to die. There's no way to really bring me back. So nobody's going to know that you're on this mission except for me, and I'm dead. So nobody's going to be on your side. It's going to be extremely dangerous because everybody is going to be against you. Again, I can't make you do this. You have to volunteer. And again, Firestar says, I'm in. So she gets that part done. Mind you, the clock's still ticking. So Professor Xavier pretty much finally agrees, puts on Cerebro, says, damn you for this. Myra X is like, if there's a hell, Charles, I will see you down there. And then Professor Xavier goes, oh, my X-Men. So now we see that the majority of the mutants are hearing Charles Xavier and they're passed through the gates, but some of them know the Red Triangle Protocol and they're resisting Charles Xavier. Now, if you don't know what the Red Triangle Protocol is, all you gotta do is watch my video on X-Men Red number 12. Storm uses it in full effect. Now on the next page, we see Mother Righteous at one of the gates, and it doesn't really break down what she's doing. But all of a sudden, on the next page, we see that she is pretty much taking the Atlantic island of Krakoa and she's putting it into like a ball. Now, why she's doing that, who knows? I just feel like it's bear mentioning because we're going to see what happens later on. You never know. She actually might be on the X-Men side. I highly doubt it, but she might. And again, you see all these mutants going through these gates, thousands upon thousands of mutants, but here and there you see just a few of them using that Red Triangle Protocol and resisting, like Emma and Kate is. Now mind you, Jean is still alive, at least her brain is, and she's still talking to Firestar. Now we see that some of the mutants are being used to take the other mutants that are kind of resisting and pull them through the gates. And Firestar is starting to freak out. She's starting to kind of grasp the reality of things, and she's like, I can't do this alone. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this by myself. Now, as soon as we go to the next page, as like I said, Jean is a bag of bones. Like, there is nothing there. I'm even starting to think maybe her brain's gone and maybe she's just in the astral plane and that's where she's doing all this work at, because she's pretty much done. She's gone. Like, you see the skeleton, right? But that Omega level power is still working, and she pretty much tells Firestar to be brave because you might be our only hope. So somehow, some way, first responders got to Scott, and he's right in the hospital and he looks horrible. And Jean pretty much is using her powers to say goodbye to Scott and that she loves him. And as the ambulance is riding off, we see the treehouse is burning. So then it goes elsewhere and we see Wolverine using the Red Triangle Protocol to resist. But the Jean's like, forget all this. She wakes up Wolverine and Wolverine's like, Jeannie, I don't know what happened. What have they done? And Jean's like, ain't no time for this. Just know that, you know, they pretty much hit us really hard, but we're still fighting. And she needs him to do what he does best. She also tells him that she loves him. And then Wolverine does exactly what Wolverine does. Kill people and ask questions later. So now we see Destiny walking through the gate. Now, it doesn't seem like Charles is controlling her. He might be, but doesn't seem like it. And then we also see Exodus, and he's pushing the 5 through the gates. Now, I guess it's saying that Charles Xavier is telling Exodus to do this to save the 5. Problem is that Charles doesn't know where they're going, so he could be sending them to their death. He cannot be. All he knows is that he didn't want them here so that Orchis doesn't do anything to the 5. So on the next page, we got Raven, and she don't know the Red Triangle Protocol. All she knows is she don't like to be told what to do. So she's resisting just based off her spite, and it pisses Charles Xavier off, and he's like, leave, Raven. He starts using all of his power. It pretty much overloads her mind, and then she goes crashing out of a window and onto some rocks. So she is dead. So the poor man Sinister is pretty much laughing his ass off about what happened to Raven. MODOK just noticed that the Atlantic Island just disappeared, so he's trying to set a perimeter around the Pacific Island. And now we see all the X-Men that were taught the Red Triangle Protocol to resist, and Myra X is like, well, hopefully there's enough on this blade to take care of all of them, because I want to take care of every last one of them. Emma pretty much wakes everybody up. She tells Larraz that she needs to teleport everybody out of here. Larraz don't know if she can transport all of these people out of here. Emma's like, you need to try. So everybody grabs hands. Myra X pretty much throws the knife that she used to kill Jean, and I thought she was throwing it at one of the mutants, but she actually throws it at one of the humans. Then she jumps on Charles Xavier and goes, I got him, you need to shoot the teleporter. One of the organization goes, I got her, and then Kingpin comes out of nowhere and crushes his head with one hand. So then they start firing, but pretty much the X-Men that were there are now gone. They got teleported out of there. Larraz pretty much teleports them to the Hellfire Club, including Kingpin. But we saw that one agent fired, and he hit Larraz in the chest, and she collapses in Emma's arms and she dies. So now MODOK investigates with something that pretty much prevents mutants from passing through the gates now. Nimrod comes dragging the body of Juggernaut, talking about, I didn't enjoy beating his brains in. And he goes, well, maybe a little. But Firestar is still doing alive. Do I gotta do everything myself? And then the Simpleton goes, whoa, calm down. Firestar has been feeding us information way before she even became an X-Men. Now that we're public, she decided to join us full time. And then Firestar goes, well, what about him? Pointing to Professor Xavier. And then the Simpleton's like, his fate was sealed as soon as Myra X decided to join us. And then Myra X comes out of nowhere talking about, he's mine. So the mutants at the Hellfire Club are pretty much making a plan to go back there to try to get some revenge. Somebody in the background goes, the Blob is smaller than I thought he would be. Somebody goes, that is not the Blob. Talking about the Kingpin. Emma decides that she's gonna go back and pretty much give anybody that's there who is human a stroke, and then the rest of you X-Men can handle the machines. Kate's like, well, I guess I'm not making this trip. So she's like, I might as well go ahead and go to the treehouse, get the Blackbird, because again, she can't pass through the gates. So the Emma tries to walk through and busts her nose like wide open because the gates are sealed to mutants. And then Kate's like, oh my god. And then she starts laughing and she's like, so that's what that looks like, huh? And then like Talon and Sink are like, no, these things are done. So the humans that are still there on the island are demanding to be let off the island. And then the Simpleton goes, oh, do you believe that our public relations department sent out an early press release talking about that there were no human survivors? Who would have thought? Well, we can't be liars now. And then the Orchis just start shooting all the humans. So then Myra X is ready to kill Charles Xavier, but you know, she's a villain now, so she has to monologue and talk shit. And then Charles goes, I'm ready. And then Myra X is like, that's right, be brave. And Charles is like, I wasn't talking to you. And Rogue comes out of nowhere and splits Myra X in half. She's not dead, but she's done for the night. And then she grabs Charles and she rockets out of there. Now she's flying so fast that she's across the Atlantic Ocean before Charles can even say anything. And he's like, no, you need to take me back to the island. And she's like, Charles, that's suicide. And he's like, you don't understand. Take me back to the island. So she does, and then Charles just starts going, they're all gone. And she's like, who's all gone? And he's like, the mutants were meant, I thought, to be sent to Araco, but I can't sense them, so they're all gone. They're all dead. And then Rogue's like, all the mutants? There's like 250,000 mutants on Krakoa. And then Charles is like, I know, and I'm the one who killed them. They're all dead. Now I need you to go and avenge them. So now we have some bonus material. So Kingpin and Emma are pretty much talking amongst themselves. Kate is about to lean against the gates because again, she can't pass through. Now she's like, nobody can pass through, so I don't feel so bad. And then she phases through the gate right in front of a whole bunch of Orchis agents. If you didn't enjoy this comic book, then you must not have a pulse.